Hello, hello. You have found your way to the Brevis Talk podcast, where our message is eternal, but our delivery isn't quite that long. Brief and encouraging. That's our goal. Now, here's your host, Pastor Wayne Whiteside.
In 1845, the Iloni Palace had to be torn down, only 30 years after construction. This beautiful palace in the paradise of Hawaii. The second palace was completed in 1879, and it had a formidable enemy, an insidious enemy that attacked it too. This unseen enemy, this enemy that was not seen until it was too late, but yet its destruction continued on and on, unseen and unheard. You know, societies have enemies. Many societies collapse from within. Perhaps no society more famously than the Roman Empire. It collapsed from within. Now, I'm not saying that that is a simple study there. Most scholars will list about 8 reasons why the Roman Empire fell, but most of them were not from without, but from within. I'm thinking that governments and nations today are perhaps vulnerable from collapse, but not from an enemy without, but an enemy or enemies from within. Oh, and by the way, that little enemy that teamed together with its companions that destroyed the palace not once but twice in Hawaii, the Formosa termite. Not so easy to see, but very, very capable of destruction. There are enemies of governments and societies, not so easy to see, perhaps not able to see. You're not able to see them with the naked eye, but nevertheless, they are there. 3 things I would like to consider concerning the Roman Empire, and maybe we can draw some parallels with our society, be it the United States, be it Europe, be it India, other continent or country. The first one was a loss of ethics and or values. I'm not an old man. I'm not a young man. But I remember as a child men of integrity. I remember people who could make a contract, so to speak, to have an agreement between 2 or more persons, and they did it all on the authority and the integrity of their word, which their word was their bond. These gentlemen would shake hands, and it was a secure bond, and they would not go back from their word. Well, I don't see that so much today. I see people getting attorneys and signing this and signing that. I remember the last purchase I made for an automobile. I think I signed somewhere around 10 different documents. I asked the gentleman, "What is this about?" He said, "Oh, it's all about litigation. We live in a litigation world. Everyone is wanting to cover themselves." And I thought to myself, we have not advanced as people. We don't trust one another. We don't have reason quite often not to trust one another. Where is the honesty and the integrity that many individuals had that they don't have today? The Roman Empire lost ethics and value living. The second thing, political corruption. And I am absolutely not going to be involved in an election here at this talk. I'm not going to tell you who to vote for, who not to vote for. I will have nothing to do with that. You as a Christian person will pray and you will vote as God has led you, I trust. The political corruption, you see it in the Old Testament over and over. The Hispanics, and you'll forgive me for my pronunciation inadequacies, but I remember some Hispanic people as I grew up. The English term was fat cat. The Hispanics called it gato gordo. It is the idea of someone who feeds themselves first. Someone who, in politics, they go and they feed themselves. They're going to take care of themselves. They're going to take care of their family. They're going to take care of their friends. And then they're going to pretend quite often that they care for others. And they'll do that every 2 to 4 years to get reelected, to go back, and the hog goes back to the trough. You say, well, you sound pretty hard on these individuals. Don't you believe there's some honest politicians? I sure do. I know some personally. But I believe the reason societies are cynical is because we've got too many fat cats. We've got individuals, I've met many of these on that other side, that are not good and decent men and women. Their egos are so large that you could almost give them their own personal zip code because of the largeness of their egos. These are those fat cats, corrupt individuals. Many of them have good intentions. They go to the center of power, but they stay too long, and they lose their way, and they become exactly what they thought they were going to fix. That is the case in so many lives today. Political corruption was a very real thing in the Old Testament and in the New Testament, and it's alive and well with us today on planet Earth. There's a third reason that we'll grasp today that the Roman Empire fell, and it was that there was a system of justice that was an injustice. You see, there were two systems instead of one. There was one for the powerful and the elite, and then one for the poor or the common man. I'm reminded in our own country, one of the most disgusting things that I've ever read about was the Enron scandal, where individuals milked common people. Powerful individuals cooked the books in accounting. They lied to themselves. I'm sure they lied to people. They lied to the government. They lied to everyone. The tragedy upon the tragedy is that people lost their retirement. Multitudes were affected. And if you look at this bottom line, many of these individuals who broke these laws and stole all this money from common people and destroyed their lives and their retirement, many of them did not go to prison, and many of them, most of them, had lenient prison sentences. I've been going in and out of prisons for 34 years in 5 states. I know a little bit about the criminal justice system. There are some very bad people in prison. They need to be there, and they don't ever need to be let out. I will never argue otherwise. There are individuals that are sort of in the middle there. Maybe they open their eyes and see that they can be rehabbed by giving their life to God and being consistent in living a life for God. I believe that. I believe in redemption, or I wouldn't be going into the prisons. And there are individuals also, mark my word about this, their biggest crime was that they could not afford good counsel. They are there, and their biggest crime is because they were poor. Perhaps a book was thrown at them. I'm not saying they're innocent, but I'm saying that the sentence stepped way, way beyond what the crime should have allowed punishment to be. But they were poor. They did not have the means of defending themselves. There are 2 types of justice in the Old Testament. There are 2 types of justice in the New Testament that it's spoken about, and I'm going to bet you all over the world there is injustice in the land. My friend, a land that is not fair, a judgeship and an appellate courts that are not fair, and they are not merciful, and they are not upright, and if they can be bought, that is like the termite within a society. And a society will not last long from this. In the Old Testament, we see bribes, false scales, false balances, if you will. Proverbs 20:23 speaks of this. Go read the book of Amos. Look up the word justice. In the New Living Translation, it talks about justice being twisted. It says it is making a bitter pill for the oppressed to swallow. The termite destroyed a beautiful palace twice. The invader found its way within, and the destruction came from within. The Roman Empire fell from within, and there are many nations that are probably on the brink today of falling and collapsing from within. What is the answer? Well, for the human soul, it is God on the inside pushes the devil out. You cast evil out, not in a void, but the way evil is cast out, it's by having the good, it's having the honorable. And in the person of Jesus Christ, having a personal experience with Jesus Christ, Christ on the inside, the light of God pushes out the darkness. My friend, humans, I don't believe, can rehab themselves. They certainly can't redeem themselves, but if they'll cry out for the mercy and the goodness of God and ask Christ to forgive them of their sins and come into their lives, He will do just that. Jesus said, "He that comes to me, I will in no wise cast out." God bless you.
Thanks for stopping by to be with us at the Brevis Talk podcast. If you want to know more about us or hear other brief messages, go to brevistalk.com and sign up to receive our blog and updates while you're there. Don't forget, Jesus loves you.